Alright guys, the 2024 Qatar Grand Prix, and despite Fernando Alonso saying in the build-up to this race that you should really just have a meal, have a nice time, don't focus on the racing because the racing is going to be boring around Qatar, how wrong was Fernando Alonso? Not least for himself as well. He had a good day today, but this is going to be so difficult to summarize into 5 things, guys. But here we go. I'm going to do my best. The 5 things that we learned from the 2024 Qatar Grand Prix. So one of the biggest surprises of today is the fact that Sauber, finally, Sauber have done it. They've scored points in 2024. I said it in the build-up. I highlighted the Sauber drivers for this one. People comment and say, no, mate, you don't know what you're talking about. They're never scoring points. Well, they've done it. Guan Yu Zhou with a P8 today, avoiding all of the chaos around him to get a big haul of points. He's equaled his highest finish in Formula 1, 8th place. 4 points heading back to Switzerland with that. Absolutely fantastic. It was almost a double score for them as well. Valtteri Bottas in 11th place. He only got passed for 10th in the closing stages by Lando Norris. More on him very soon. But yeah, it's a huge one for Sauber. They're still going to finish bottom of the constructors, but they've at least got something to write home about. I mean, it's something at the end of the day. I said going into this race that this track is a very unique one that could well suit the Sauber car, and so it proved to be the case. So maybe I do know what I'm talking about after all. No, it can't be that. Can't be that. Just pure luck. But oh man, I've got to talk about Lando Norris. I've got to talk about Norris in this race. My word. So yeah, he did end up finishing down in P10. Got a single point for McLaren, but his journey to get there was a very, very interesting one. He was up in P2 for most of the race, chasing down Max Verstappen, trying to get in striking distance of him. In truth, he didn't really manage that at any point, apart from one of the safety car restarts. We'll talk about that safety car soon. I've got a few things to say about that. But it was a good move to try and get ahead of Verstappen at the restart for that. Didn't quite manage it. Got edged out into turn 1. He could have maybe challenged Max Verstappen for the win, but I think Verstappen had just enough to keep him behind throughout this race. He did just enough to make it impossible for him to get past. And unfortunately, Norris made kind of a rookie error, really. We've talked about the errors for McLaren, the errors for Lando Norris this season, and this was definitely another one as well. It was one that was actually spotted by Verstappen himself duwn the pit straight, basically. I think it was Valtteri Bottas. His Sauber was basically shedding parts. I think his wing mirror actually fell off during the midpoint of the race. And yeah, that eventually wrote out a safety car. We'll talk about that very soon too. But yeah, Lando Norris didn't slow down for this. There was yellow flags on the main straight, and he didn't slow down. And you have to slow down with these, and it's a slammed up penalty. It took a long time for the stewards to do that because the stewards were very busy, in fairness, today. But yeah, I eventually got a penalty, a 10-second stop-go penalty as well. So that tells me that he just didn't lift off even in the slightest. That's why it's such a severe penalty. That is not 10 seconds added to your race time or 10 seconds in a pit stop. That is come into the pits, stop for 10 seconds, then go out. It's a loss of around 35 seconds. He was dead last when he came back out of the pits. But yeah, then eventually clawed his way back up to P10, got the fastest lap of the race, which will help McLaren, but his mistake has cost McLaren a lot of points. McLaren still top of the Constructors' Championship. There was a chance, as things stood, that they might have been able to wrap it up before heading into Abu Dhabi, but as it is, there is now a 19-point gap, I believe it is, between McLaren and Ferrari. So McLaren still have the advantage, will still probably win the Constructors' Championship, I would say, but Ferrari, big gains today with them. Charles Leclerc in second, and Carlos Sainz a very credible P6. And it's very credible because he ran over that debris. He was one of 2 drivers. This is the third thing I want to talk about. We're going to run way over 5 minutes for this one. I don't care. It's an incredible race. But yeah, he was one of the drivers who ran over the debris. Hamilton being another one. I'll talk about him soon for the 4th thing. But yeah, a puncture for Carlos Sainz. Had to do basically the entire lap with 3 wheels on his wagon. Same for Hamilton as well. But Sainz managing to get P6. He was all over the back of Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly with an incredible race today. P5 for the Alpine, man. That is a massive boost in their battle for 6th in the Constructors. They might well get it now. I didn't think they'd be able to do it, but they might well get it. But yeah, I'm sorry, where was I? Yeah, punctures with that. We've got to talk about the race director now. Obviously, there is a lot of controversy around, and I've gone over it in a different video, going over what Mohammed bin Sulayem has been doing when it comes to sacking his race directors and stuff by text message. which I've already had my rant about that. I'm not going to get into that, but there is a new race director. The F2 and F1 Academy race director also directed the race for the Grand Prix as well. And I think they made I get it, they're rusty, they're not been used to being in the spotlight like this for F1, but I think they made a massive error of judgment. They waited far too long for the safety car to come out. There should have been a virtual safety car and just picked up the debris, just cleared it off, because we had 2 punctures because of that, and it could have been, you know, some severe accidents as well because of it. We got quite lucky that Hamilton and Sainz didn't end up in the barriers as a result. So I think that was a real error of judgment. They're going to have to do better, frankly, for the next round in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse, but thankfully 2 punctures, that was the end of it. But it really did ruin Hamilton's race, and I gotta talk about Hamilton. Didn't help Sainz, of course, either. He could have got a podium if it wasn't for that. But you gotta talk about Hamilton. Hamilton just, man, I feel for him. In the early stages of the race, he was just playing slow. He didn't know why he was slow. He couldn't figure it out. He was on the phone to his radio, his engineer, constantly trying to figure out what was going wrong, but he was just playing slow. Simple as that. Miles off of George Russell. Got the puncture, but then on top of that as well, he actually got a pit lane speeding penalty. He would have got points, I think, if it wasn't for that, but he had to go in the pits and do another drive-through penalty. Man, I feel for him. Like I said, he wants to retire the car. He wants to park it in the garage, but his team said no, don't do that, keep going. And he ended up in P12. So yeah, really, really dismal day for Hamilton. And rumours going around, I mean, not going off what Jenson Button was saying in the Sky commentary, that, you know, there might be a chance that he doesn't turn up for the final round in Abu Dhabi. I think he will, for what it's worth. I really do think he will, because there's going to be a lot of celebrations for what he's done for that team. But yeah, he's absolutely ending on the dampest of squibs at the moment. And the final thing I want to talk about, we have to talk about Max Verstappen, because he was brilliant today. He really was. I mean, I said this in the reaction to his penalty, because for those who don't know, guys, he got pole position in qualifying, got a 1-place grid penalty for blocking George Russell during qualifying session. I've already given my reaction to that. An absolute bogus, absolute terrible penalty that was handled out. I do not think it was right at all that he got that penalty, because they were not on flying laps, neither of them. So I think that penalty is a bit of a joke, to be honest. But I also said in that, you know, this is going to fire him up. He's going to be absolutely like a caged tiger or a caged lion when he's unleashed onto the track. And so it proved. Got the lead at the start, never let go of it. Some really good moves to try and defend from Lando Norris. I think even without the penalty to Norris, he still would have won the race today. Excellent. It's his first Grand Prix race win in non-wet conditions. I mean, Brazil was awesome, of course, but I feel like the weather did help him out. He absolutely took advantage of it, absolutely deserved that win, of course. But, you know, a dry weather win, all conditions, all things being equal, you know, as you expect. This is the first time he's done that since Spain. So again, it's been a long time since he's done that. Red Bull, at least in the hands of Max Verstappen, are very much back, and they got a chance of getting another win in Abu Dhabi. Why not? He's going to want to end this season on a high. Of course, he's champion. It's already decided, but he's going to want to end it on a high. So yeah, I just want to say it was an excellent race for him. I'll just read out. I don't normally read out the top 10. This video is overrun massively, but I don't care, because it's been an incredible race to react to. I'm recording this just as the race finishes. I think there's still some people under investigation. I think George Russell is still under investigation for safety car infringements. This order may change. This is the provisional running, as it were, for the classification. Max Verstappen wins the Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc in second place. Oscar Piastri completing the podium in third. Pole sitter George Russell in fourth. Pierre Gasly, an excellent 5th place for his Alpine. 5 different constructors in the top 5. Carlos Sainz in 6th despite his puncture. Fernando Alonso, a very credible 7th place in that absolutely terrible to handle Aston Martin. Zhou Guanyu in P8, Sauber's first point. Kevin Magnussen picking up 2 important points for Haas, and Lando Norris completing the top 10 in 10th place with the fastest lap of the race. Valtteri Bottas is 11th. Lewis Hamilton 12th. Then come the 2 RBs. Yuki Tsunoda ahead of Liam Lawson 13th and 14th. Alexander Albon, the final runner, in P15. He had some penalties as well. Out of the race, Nico Hülkenberg, Sergio Perez, Lance Stroll, Franco Colapinto, and Esteban Ocon, all out of the race as well. So yeah, so much for a boring race. Oh, what a boring sport Formula 1 is. An incredible race around Qatar. I think it's a good track at the end of the day. I really do. But yeah, unbelievable. And let's try and unwind down now for the rest of this Sunday evening, guys. See you soon for some more reaction. I'll probably do a video tomorrow as well if you guys want to see it, going over all the penalties, because there's some that I've missed and there's some probably yet to be decided. So yeah, see you soon, guys. Have a good one.